Hey guys, I posted on my Instagram stories, Ask Me Anything, and I was saving the questions for this video. I have the questions written down here, and hopefully you guys can get a better idea of who I am. We have my son here with us, so if you hear him chewing his bone, that's who it is. So one of the questions was, and I think it's probably best to start with, what made you want to start a YouTube? I never indulged really in YouTube. I didn't have a YouTube account before this. I will say in high school, I watched the makeup beauty YouTube channel. This is like kind of embarrassing to say, but I wanted to start one since I'd say end of high school, for sure college. And it's embarrassing because I was so embarrassed to start one that I didn't for that long. So especially with something that's so like unimportant, like social media, when it's in comparison to the rest of the world. But that's a whole nother thing. I've gone through a lot of self-throws. That being said, anyone who like know me personally, they are like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Like you should be doing this. I always like to be in front of the camera, but not so much when it comes to pictures like that. I think I just like to talk. I like to give recommendations. I like to share about the things I'm doing. I'm like not a gatekeeper at all. Yeah, you can do that on all platforms, but I just would say it's more in line with what I like. Instagram wasn't ever that intriguing to me. I don't really care to just post pictures of myself. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It feels weird. Like, it doesn't feel like me, so I always struggled with that. And I think the only reason why it just seems weird with YouTube is because, I mean, it's just another form of social media, but not as many people have YouTube channels. So it just feels different, whereas everyone has an Instagram or a TikTok. I think that's why I really liked posting TikToks. I just like talking more, but even then, since it is so short form, I like lose sense of what I can post, so I just end up posting my outfits every day, which I do love fashion and shopping and clothes and all of that. It's not my only personality, but I just never know what to post on there because it's so short form. Are you gonna be that loud? Okay. So another question was, do you have siblings? Yes, I do. I am the second out of 4 children. I have an older sister who's 2 years older than me, then a younger sister who's about 3 years younger than I am, and then my little brother. And they're my people. I love them a lot. We're all super close. Yeah. How old am I? I'm 27. 27 years old. My birthday is May 24th, 1997. So that makes me a Gemini, and a true one, as my mother would say. And I love being a Gemini. I think we get a really bad rap. So just because I'm a Gemini does not mean, no, I am not two-faced, like in the slightest. I don't know why people think that just because the sign is twins. It does not mean two-faced. Or they say Geminis scare them. I'm like, okay. It just means you be so one way. And usually when someone is that way, they don't have the ability to be the other way as well, if that makes sense. I'm being vague, but I think that's what being a Gemini is. Another question was if I left LA. Yes. So basically, my life story is I was born in Miami. My dad played basketball, so my older sister was born here in Phoenix, and then my dad got traded to the Heat, so then my family moved there, and I was born there, and so was my younger sister, Mia. So Miami it's my city. And then we left Miami again, back to Phoenix, and then we stayed here. So I was raised here. And then in high school, starting my sophomore year, I actually left to go back to Florida, but without my family. I was staying with a host family because I was starting to travel too much for tennis. I played tennis growing up. Basically, I had begged and pleaded to be homeschooled since grade school. And my mom, being the great mom that she is, said no, because she did everything in her power to get me a special schedule in school. So I think I go out to school at like 10 a.m. and I'd leave by 2. So I taught myself vocab, and then I'd have to come in and take the vocab tests at other times. And then I would miss whatever that last hour was. It was usually PE or computer, something unnecessary. But then I started to play international tournaments. And at that point, when you're doing that, you're like a mini pro, basically. Your schedule is in comparison to being like a professional athlete. You are on the road for 7 weeks at a time, hopping to different places each week to play the tournament. And then you go back to your home base for about a week, train, get back in the groove of things, and then you hit the road again. So once you're doing that, no one's in regular school. It's not a thing. So starting my sophomore year of high school, I moved to Florida because it was also much easier to travel to these tournaments from Florida. And there was also just so many more kids in Florida to practice with at a certain level. So it was time for me to do that. I was in Florida for most of my high school. I did online school. From there, I went to college, and I went to UC Santa Barbara. And then from UCSB, I moved to LA up until literally this month, last year, February 2024. Not a lot of people know that. It's not like I kept it a secret. I'm just I like Irish goodbye to LA. I know how to keep my life private in ways I also just don't care to be like, oh, I'm moving. I told the people that I needed to tell, and that was that. It was not the easiest thing at first. I had a lot of anxiety about it, but I inflicted a lot of change on myself. I've had to get a whole new job and start a whole new career. Yeah, just a lot of change in the past year, and I really have done the work on myself too, like the hard work. And obviously I'm still going. I think I'll always be still going. We're a work in progress forever. I gave it a good 4.5, 5 years, and finally really had no more ties there at one point, and I just thought, screw it, I'm gonna leave, I'm done. Thank you, next. I'm actually really happy that I did. Who knows where I'll be in another year? I don't know, who knows? But I'm really close to my family, and I feel really lucky and really blessed that I have the people around me that I do. So, again, long-winded. I think the question was, did I move to Arizona? I guess I don't even need questions. I could just sit here and tell you guys about my life. The question of where I went to college. Obviously, I answered that. UCSB. I did play my freshman year, played tennis there, and then I quit. I actually had narrowed down, everyone always laughs at this, the 2 colleges that I was like, or it's one of these 2. And they could not be more different. It was either Oklahoma State or UC Santa Barbara. UCSB was like more of a school that I would go to on my own if I didn't play tennis. If I wasn't playing a sport, I probably would consider Oklahoma State. That being said, when I went, it was amazing. My visit was amazing. I'm still feel very close to the coach there, and we're still in contact from time to time. They were extremely good, and the team was lovely. Like, they were the nicest group of girls, and the coach was amazing, and the donors were amazing, and the facilities amazing, like insane. I would have played all 4 years if I went there. And I try not to live with regrets. Sometimes I'm like, oh, should I? But whatever, it doesn't really matter. I don't like to live that way. But yeah, so I chose to go to UCSB, and I wanted to major in broadcast journalism, and I had an internship at Fox Sports. UCSB did not have a broadcast journalism school. They had film and media, which at the time I was like, okay, same thing, we'll do that, which I am so glad that I did, because I loved my major. That being said, it is very heavily film based. You got to choose where you want to be, but I loved it, and it made me want to have a career in film, which I don't, but I did want one. I graduated in 3.5 years. I did not like college, and it had nothing to do with UCSB. I was not interested in what college kids were interested in at the time. It was not at all appealing to me at all, which is totally, if anything, I'm the weird one, and I'm aware of that, but it just wasn't for me. I'm just a homebody. I don't care to be out that much. I'm like, for what? If you're normal and want to enjoy college, as you should go there. incredible school. I will say probably the nicest kids. I mean, most people in their life won't ever live on the water or, you know, say they live beachfront, but you do at UC Santa Barbara. I mean, I went to bed and I would hear the waves crashing, and our house is on a cliff over the water. So it's insane. Somebody asked what my favorite movie is. It is Rocky III. I think that is one of the best montages in film there is. Adrian whips into shape on the beach, and then Eye of the Tiger comes on and they're racing on the beach. It's so good. I love it. I love it. When I really want to feel something, I watch that. I'm like, okay, I need to do better. Oh, someone asked, I feel like this is a weird one to end it on, but someone asked what was in my Substack. I have a Substack, by the way, but I love to write. That's something about me. I really, really, really love to write. I think it's like the easiest form for me to fully express myself, and it's actually probably the thing that comes the most naturally to me. It always has been. I've always been a very good writer with not much effort. Anyways, so I had written about fear, and I kind of brought up vaguely in that post about an accident that I went through in my life that kind of shifted like my mindset and the way I thought negatively for a long time. And this person is asking what that accident was, and to break it down, it was really just a freak accident when I just turned 14. It was August. I had like a few days left before I was supposed to start my freshman year of high school. And I stepped on a stick in my backyard barefoot, and it went through my joint. I did not know. I also have a really high pain tolerance. I remember calling my coach the next morning. I was like, I would come to practice if I could get my foot in my shoe. Like, it won't go into my shoe because it's so swollen. I also couldn't even walk on it. It hurt so bad, but that's also who I am. Like, if the foot would have gone into the shoe, I still would have shut up. Basically, long story short, we had found out that I had an infection in my joint from the stick. I had to have emergency surgery. I woke up one morning in the hospital. My mom said, they're taking you to surgery. And the doctor said, when he cut open my foot, a trash bag full of pus, was in there. And also going into surgery had told me, I don't know if you'll ever be able to play tennis again the same. You also might come out with half your foot. They weren't sure until they went in to see if it went into the bone. If it got into the bone, then they would have had to amputate. Thank God I woke up. I was 14. I remember this like it was yesterday. I woke up, and first thing I did, well, apparently according to my mom, I had already woken up, but I don't remember that part because I was, a little loopy. But I said that one time I jolted up and I said that we needed to go shopping or something. Another time I woke up and was like, I'm gonna be late to practice, and was freaking out. Which both things are so me, about shopping and then also freaking out that I'm gonna be late to anything. Really, I'm the most punctual human ever. I don't show up late, but also I had a fear of showing up late for practice. But from when I remember, I jolted up and looked just right at my foot. And I remember seeing it all wrapped up, but I could see my toes popping out of the ACE bandage. So there they all were, all 5 of them. And yeah, so my foot did not have to get amputated, but there was a long road from there on. I had to have a PICC line put in, which if you don't know that, it's like shocking that I even had one at 14 years old. So that's when you're constantly having to get medicine. So it basically just stays in you, and I had in-home health care. And for a while, I just really couldn't leave the couch. The fan couldn't come on because bacteria couldn't spread around. If you came into the room, you had to wear a mask. And my mom had to give me, on the days that the nurses weren't there, she had to give me my mom would have to give me my medicine, for lack of better words. I don't know exactly. I don't really know what it was, but it would connect to the tubes outside of my arm. And when they were teaching her how to do it at the hospital, they said, you have to squirt it out, because if any air bubbles are left in it, she can have a seizure immediately and die. And so I just remember my mom, every time she had to do it, I just remember her shaking, and she would try to not act scary for me, but I honestly felt bad because I was putting her through that, and just never said more about it. Not that it bothers me too, I just like, I don't know. Sometimes I don't want to feel like a victim and like, oh, like I have to tell everyone what I've been, I've been through all these things. Anyways, that is the accident that I was referring to. So I think I'm gonna end there because I am all too tired to keep going. And I just couldn't keep, I'm scared to watch this footage back because my brain is mush. I don't even know what I'm saying at this point, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you got to learn a little bit more about me, and I promise you'll learn way more as we go on. Please, if you like want to see anything specific on here, let me know. And I actually would love suggestions. And yeah, I'm gonna go to sleep.